Hey guys, it's Impact here, and in today's video I've got for you a controller and camera settings video, alright? I'm basically going to go as in-depth as I can about, what settings I use and also what all the settings do, because at the end of the day you might prefer something that I don't really like. I just want to give like the most detail I can about all the settings really, and there'll be some settings where like I recommend you to use only one setting. And also be some settings where I'm like, this works, but also you could use this sort of thing. So yeah, I just recorded this like 5 minutes ago, but like my audio wasn't working, so I got to do it all again. So yeah, anyway, if this video helps you guys, or like you enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe, because I'm gonna be uploading like more content in the next few weeks. I'm gonna be doing like tutorials, like set piece tutorials, like how to shoot, like. I'm also going to be recording like custom tactics videos and stuff like that. So I'd really appreciate it if you drop the subscription and like the video. But anyway, before we actually go into the settings, I need to show you guys something, because I've seen a lot of stuff on like social media about people's settings not saving and stuff like that. After you do the settings, or like use the settings you want to use, if you press save FIFA 23 profile and press yes, it saves all your settings. And this should mean that every time you close your game down and open it back up, it doesn't reset all your settings. But this happened to me before, where I've loaded into a game and I'm just on the wrong camera angle, and then when I go to check all my controller settings, everything's reset. So anyway, let's get on to the like camera and visual settings first, because I think it's a good place to start. So most of this is like default, but some of the stuff I've changed. I'm going to go through this quite quickly compared to the other settings, because some of this stuff is a little just personal preference, just visual stuff. So I've changed this to player name and indicator, because what happens is, and this to player name, when I'm like controlling the ball with my players, it will say like above the indicator who I'm using, just so I know, like if I've got like a 5-star skiller, for example, or like a 5-star weak foot player, I know that they can go both sides. I know that they can do certain skills. Or if I've got someone who's only got like 3-star skills or 2-star skills or whatever, I know they're not going to be able to do many skills. So this is just quite a helpful one for me that I use. I've also changed this to default. There's not really, you can see the pictures behind my webcam. It's not really much difference. Just makes it a little bit smaller, makes it not in the way. Most of this is the same. I'm just going to quickly go through this. So radar I have on 2D. Definitely have this on. I don't really like 3D, but it makes like I can't really see like where my players are on the pitch. Like it's quite weird to me. So I use 2D. One thing that like could be helpful if you're experiencing kit clashes in the minimap with your kits you select, you can change it so on the minimap, whatever kits you use or whatever kit your opponent uses, like the players are all the same color, like on the minimap. So if you have red on your team and green on the other team, for example, it means you always know like who's on your team and who's on the opponent's team. But I just have mine on default, because I haven't really experienced that yet this year. I've changed net tension to tight just because it looks a bit cooler. Make sure you turn scrolling lineups off if it's already on. It gets in your way. It's not good. I have this on ping only, just so I can see my ping when I'm in game, just in case I've connected to like a dodgy server or whether I'm lagging or whatnot. And also, you can turn your connection indicator stuff on as well. I have mine off. And also input overlay. This makes it so a controller pops up in the top right hand corner of your screen while you're playing. This is just more for my streams, so that people that are watching me can see what buttons I'm pressing when I'm doing certain skill moves or certain shots or whatever, or when I'm defending. But it might be helpful to you guys as well if you want to see sort of like whether like there's much delay going on, whether you actually pressed a button or whatnot. Now let's get on to the controller settings. This is like the nitty gritty. So and before I do that, I didn't show you my camera settings, so we'll do that quickly. So I use telebroadcast 20 height 0 zoom. That's my settings. In previous years, I've used 17 and 3. I feel like with telebroadcast, anywhere between 15.5 to 20.0 is good. Like the only reason I've put my height up and my zoom down a little bit is because I feel like I've really struggled with defending through balls this year. I feel like I just want to see as much of the pitch as possible while I'm like defending, while I'm attacking this year. Another camera angle that can be very, very good this year, especially, is co-op. And with co-op, I just recommend 20.0. With co-op, it zooms you out the pitch loads. It's like sort of like a bird's eye view sort of thing, where you see the whole pitch. You can see literally everything. which means you can see through balls, you can see who's open. Just test them out. Like, I wouldn't recommend any other camera settings. Either telebroadcast or co-op is the way to move, but I personally use telebroadcast, which is better suited to someone who's a bit better at dribbling and doing skill moves and stuff, and co-op is sort of more suited to... You can obviously still be very effective with skill moves and stuff, but it's more suited to seeing through balls and stuff like that. So let's get on to the controller settings now. So, first off, make sure you have the competitive master switch on, because even if you have it off, it turns on automatically when you're in game. Well, when you're in division rivals, drafts, or foot champs. I feel like on single player, this might be off. I don't really know, but make sure you have it on just so, like, these are settings you're going to use, so you don't need to worry about any of these that are grayed out. It does it for you. So, through pass assistance I have on semi, because you can't have it on assisted this year. Semi is the next best thing. This basically just like, I mean, it's quite self-explanatory. It's how assisted you're passing. You don't want it on manual. You'll struggle to pass the ball like with through balls if you have it on manual. Make sure it's on no, not assisted, semi, sorry. So, FIFA trainer, there's no point in having it. Even if you're a new player, it doesn't really help you out, I'll be honest. Maybe if like you've literally never played a video game before and this is your first time on the game, maybe it might help you out, but I recommend having this on hide. Time finishing, I have on. Now this is automatically off, I believe. What time finishing does, if you guys are not aware, is... So obviously you hold your shoot button to shoot, and you aim your left analog stick. If you press your shoot button a second time, it means basically you can time the shot. If you time it green, which is perfect timing, it improves the power on the shots and it improves the accuracy. So it's something you want to be doing. A lot of people in the lower divisions have this off because like they sort of struggle with the timing and whatnot. But I would highly recommend learning how to do it. You basically need to press shoot, and then when you're pressing it a second time, you need to make sure you press it as soon as your player's foot makes contact with the football, right? That is the perfect timing. If you time it late, it will just come up white, like above your, like where your player indicator is, where that means that it's late and it doesn't have any effect on the shot. So you might as well try it at the end of the day. If it's early, it's either red or yellow. Red is like super early. It means the shot just does nothing. It's really bad. Yellow shots are slightly worse than normal shots. But just mess around in like the practice arena, in skill games, in like just offline games. Just try and master this because it's really, really effective this year, right? Especially for the Trivela long shots. Next player switch indicator. I have it off. There are benefits to having it on. If you left stick, if you press L1 to switch player or LB on Xbox a lot, it's good having this on so you can see where the next player you switch to is. It basically has like a second smaller indicator or like a fainter indicator that you can see who you're switching to. But I have mine off because 95% of my player switches are with the right stick, flicking the right stick. And this just gets in the way. I don't really want to see two indicators. I only want to see one. So it's up to you. I have mine on. No, I have mine off. But you could get used out of having it on. Anything where you get assisted by the AI, just make sure you have it on, alright? Pass block assistance, like I say, it's quite self-explanatory again. It means the AI and the people you're controlling when you're trying to cut passing lanes. It has like a bigger radius in where you can intercept the ball. So make sure you have this on. Auto switch I have on air and loose balls, because I don't want it to automatically player switch for me every single time, like, I'm defending. The only time I want it to do it is when the ball's either loose or when the ball's in the air. Because sometimes it's quite a struggle player switching when the ball's in the air or when the ball's loose or whatnot. Just make sure you have it on this. I wouldn't really recommend any of the other settings. Just make sure you have it on that. Now, this is one which is a bit like, it's sort of up to you. I wouldn't really have it on high because what this does is it means like, for example, if you're running to the left with your left back and you player switch to your left centre back and you want to move direction to the right, for example, if they played a cross or something, when you have this on high, because you are running your left back to the left, it would start running your centre back to the left as soon as you switch. Even if you want to go to the right, it will start running to the left, and then it will kick in your input. Basically, makes it feel like you have a bit of delay when you're defending. Makes it feel like your defenders are on ice skates a bit, like you can't really move them. Low is sort of like what I'd recommend to switch to initially to get used to it. But I have mine on none because I don't really want, like, if I want to keep running left, I'll have my left analog stick to the left. But if I want to move, I'll move it and it'll respond straight away. So I have mine on none. Low's sort of like okay, like, but I'd recommend none. Clearance assistance, I have it on directional because I sort of want to like when I'm clearing the ball, I want to pick where it goes. I don't want to just hold my clearance button and it just pick a random player on the pitch or pick a random spot on the pitch. I want to know where it's going. Like if I want it to go to the left, I want to hold left and I want it to go to the left. But the only issue I have with directional sometimes is if I want to kick the ball out of play when it's half time or full time, sometimes it locks onto a player. I don't know, it's weird. So, but I'd recommend directional. Player locks, I have them on. They're quite complex to use for newer players. So, but even if you're a newer player, I still recommend having it on because it's not a sort of thing you'd accidentally do. Like you have to press both analog sticks in to activate it. And then once you've activated it, you flick the right stick to the player you want to control. And then you can make a run with them and press pass or press lob or whatever. And then if you want to go back to the player you're controlling, you have to press both sticks in again. It's quite complicated. It's quite hard to explain just in this sort of video. If you want me to do another video on player locks, I can. Just explaining what they are and how to do them. If any of you guys are struggling, let me know in the comments if you want me to do that. But I have these on. This is a big one. Make sure you have icon switching off because it's pretty useless. Like, when you're trying to move your keeper and you have this on, it doesn't really let you move him, and then it comes up with loads of inputs you can press on your controller to switch to certain players. Right stick switching is just so much better, so make sure you have this off. This is a big one. This is probably the biggest one of them all. If there's something you take away from this video, it's this, alright? So, the game has this on adaptive by default. And what happens when it's on adaptive is when your player switching with your right stick, it makes your game stutter, it makes your game FPS drop, it makes it lag. None of those things are what you want. Just make sure you switch it to classic. There's nothing wrong, like classic is just normal FIFA. It's what you're used to in the previous FIFAs. Just make sure you have it on classic, alright? Because otherwise it makes your game lag when your player switching. You don't want that. So, do another favour for me. Right stick switching reference. Have it on player relative. Ball relative. Basically, what ball relative does is it makes the football on the pitch act as the central point to your player switching. So if the ball's in the middle and you flick it to the right, you flick your analog stick to the right, it will player switch to the guy closest to the right of the ball. But when you have it on player relative, it makes the player you're actually controlling the central point. So if you're controlling your left centre back and you want to switch to your right centre back, you just flick your analog stick to the right. It's like the most logical thing, like it's the thing your brain will be used to. It's the thing, it's just the easy thing to learn. Ball relative is so confusing. And it's also really hard to stop certain like through balls and stuff with ball relative. So make sure you have it on player relative. Anything where you can switch it to assisted, these 4 settings and save assistance, which is more for pro clubs. Make sure you have them assisted. There's not really much to explain here. You just don't want them on manual or semi. The only one you might want to use semi on is crossing, but crossing is very strange. I don't really like semi, so assisted, 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 assisted. Lob through passes I have on semi because you can't have them on assisted. Only reason. You don't want them on manual. You won't be able to pass the ball properly. Save assistance is for pro clubs, so I'll just get over that. Analog sprint. When you have this on, like the more you press your R2 button, the more you sprint. So if you only press R2 down a little bit, like that, it will make your players run like 50% as fast. Now I don't want that, alright? I want my players to run when I tell them to run. Like, I don't want them to have some sort of jog about them. I just want them to run. So I have it on off. Make sure you do the same. Pass receiver lock I have on late. Because when you're like in delayed gameplay or you play the ball to the left, but then you see a gap open up in the middle, having this on late makes it so that you can switch your passing decision. If you have this on any of the other two, what happens is, if you pass it to the left, if you're mid-powering up and you realise that someone's now pressed your left back and there's a massive gap in the middle, on either of the other two, you can't switch. Like, you're fucked. Like, it just... You need to have this on late so you can sort of change. Like, trust me, this will help you a lot with your passing. So make sure you have it on late. These two are quite, like... Some people like having vibration on, but... Vibration just, like... It's really, really strange. I don't know why anyone likes having vibration on. So I have this on off. And especially for this trigger effect, make sure it's off. When my players are tired in-game, I don't want to have to push my R2 button more to run. Like... It just makes no sense. Like, I don't want to be more tired because my players are tired in-game. So make sure you have it off. The only other thing I forgot to show was this. I put on alternate just because I accidentally switched it back in FIFA 18 to alternate. All it does is switch my circle and square buttons. Or on Xbox, it's X and B. I forgot then. But yeah, it switches your circle and square. So what you press to shoot on Classic, you would press to cross. And what you press to stand tackle, you press to slide tackle. I wouldn't really recommend it. It's just something like I've got used to and I can't bother to switch back. That's everything. Anyway, just before I end the video, I'm just going to remind you guys. Profile, save FIFA 22, FIFA 23 profile, yes. Make sure you do this so your settings don't reset every time you load the game, alright? After you're done with the settings. Apart from that, I think I've covered everything. I've tried to cover everything as in-depth as I can, just so you guys know what every setting does. So you don't have any questions about anything. But if you guys do have any questions about anything, just drop them in the comments. I'll reply to them, alright? But if the video helped you out or if you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe for more content. And that's everything I've needed to cover, so I'll speak to you all in the next one.